everyone. Hi, I'm Katrina Conan-Riel, Chief Director of Programming. I am so thrilled to see you here with us tonight. Sarah Blakely is here. I'm super excited. I'll introduce Sarah in just a minute, but as always, I have a few housekeeping notes to get us started. Today's event is in a webinar format, so while we can't hear or see you, we encourage your participation. Use the chat function to say hi to each other and react. We asked for your questions ahead of time, and they've shaped the questions that our moderator will be asking today. While we won't be taking questions, audience questions live, we picked a few members to bring on during our Q&A to ask Sarah their questions directly. This session is scheduled to go until 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific. After our event, join us at the after party. It's a chance for members to meet and dissect this fruitful conversation. First, I want to introduce our moderator, Ebony Beckwith. Ebony is the Chief Business Officer and Chief of Staff to Mark Benioff at Salesforce. Ebony is passionate about mentoring and building the next generation of leaders, and we are so thrilled to have her with us. Please welcome Ebony Beckwith. Hi.
Hi.
And our very special guest is Spanx's founder and Chief Executive Officer, Sarah Blakely. Sarah built a global brand with just $5,000 and a lucky red backpack. She led her company through a landmark acquisition of Spanx by Blackstone, and we are so proud and honored to welcome Sarah Blakely. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Ebony. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for being here, and welcome to Chief.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. I was saying just before we came on, I don't normally give speeches at this time of day from home. And I have 4 children under the age of 12. So if you guys were running a behind the scenes camera right now, this would have been the funniest blooper video ever. I mean, I'm like hoping my hair looks okay, but I had 4 children that I tried to get a haircut at home, and none of them wanted their haircut. And then my daughter just came in 2 minutes ago with the hummus on every finger and was like, hey, and I'm like, wait, don't touch anything. So anyway, but I'm so excited to be here with all of you guys.
And I'm sure many in the audience can relate to that. So, I mean, hummus fingers, haircuts, kids running around, puppies, husband, all the things, right?
All the things. And none of them wanted to get their haircut? I was like, what? Like, come on, it's time. But anyway, I've bolted the door.
Okay,
so
good. Me too.
I think we're good, guys. I think it's going to be just us for the next.
Barring any UPS deliveries or anything, we're all focused in. So Sarah, I'm really excited to get an opportunity to talk to you. And I know many of us, including myself, are big admirers, both of your leadership and your product. I have on a dress right now and I'm all spanked up. Who doesn't love a good pair of Spanx? But really, in all seriousness, your journey is so inspiring, and I'm just really thrilled that we get to have this, one-on-one conversation with you today. And as Katrina mentioned, you have some big recent news. You made a decision to sell a majority stake of Spanx to Blackstone, and that's huge. So first, the Chief community just wants to say congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's big. A huge next chapter, right? It's a new milestone in the Spanx journey that I'm really excited about.
And we'll talk about that, but I want to take it back to the very, very beginning. So picture it. It's 1998.
Okay.
We want you to the way back machine.
Wrong guy. Okay, keep going.
Right. Tell us about the moment that started it all for you.
Well, okay, 1998, the moment that started it all, I did cut the feet out of control top pantyhose so I could wear white pants to a party in Atlanta where I was living. And I realized I wanted to create a better undergarment option in that moment for women. I couldn't figure out what to wear under these pants. I knew I couldn't be the only woman with all these clothes hanging in our closet unworn because we don't know what to wear under them. And the options at the time, Ebony, were really uncomfortable shapewear, dreadful. regular underwear, which left a panty line, a big old panty line that we could see. And then they came out with a thong and just put underwear exactly where we had been trying to get it out of. So our options were not the best. And I thought, okay, women deserve better. But the truth is, you asked me about how it started. That's what happened in 1998 when I cut the feet out. But it started way before that. And so I'll just briefly share a little bit about what I did and some moments that happened before that that I think were really instrumental in the start of Spanx. And so I grew up on Clearwater Beach in Florida, and I wanted to be a lawyer. My dad was a trial lawyer, and I used to watch him in court, leave school in bed to watch closing arguments. And I'm a really bad test taker. So I took the LSAT not once, but twice. And I basically bombed it twice. And that really derailed my dreams of being a lawyer. And so I ended up going to Disney World with my broken dreams of not being a lawyer. And I tried out to be Goofy. And you have to be 5'8", Ebony, to be Goofy. Who knew? And I am only 5'6", so I was the perfect height of a chipmunk. And and so I worked at Disney World for 3 months and realized that I wanted to do something more than that. So I ended up getting a job at a company called Danka, and I sold fax machines door to door for 7 years. And for 7 years, I got kicked out of buildings. People ripped out my business card in my face about once a week. And on one particular day, I pulled off the side of the road. I had really had a tough day. And Ebony, I was like, I'm in the wrong movie. Like, call the director, call the producer, cut, everybody. This is not my life. And I went home and I just became clear that I wanted to set an intention for a whole new life. I wanted to reinvent my life. And I wrote down in a column what I was good at, what were my strengths, what were my weaknesses. Once I took inventory of that, I was like, I love to sell. I've been selling fax machines for 7 years. I don't even really love the fax machine. What would happen if I was selling something I created or that I was passionate about? And then I wrote in my journal that night, I'm going to invent a product that I can sell to millions of women or people that will make them feel good. And so because I had set that intention prior, I only cut the feet out of my pantyhose one time, because when I did set that intention on that really particularly bad day, and I always tell people, when your life is really bad and it's really a dark time, that's usually the most fertile time for change. And that's what happened to me. I had been doing the same thing for 7 years, but it just got to this one point where I'm like, I can't, this is just not okay. And I asked the universe for a sign and an idea. And I said, if you give me an idea, I won't squander it. And I will make it happen. And I will be so grateful. And it took 2 more years, Ebony, of selling fax machines before I cut the feet out of my pantyhose in 1998. And that's I know. Right, because it's the universe's time. Like, that's the one thing we can't really control, you know, but I was very clear. And I don't know if you know that children's book, Are You My Mother? But this little bird, every page is like going up to a bulldozer. Are you my mother? And then the next page to the bear. Are you my mother? That's how I was about my idea. I mean, I was like dating the wrong guy after the wrong guy. I was like in a job that wasn't fulfilling. And I kept thinking, are you my idea? Could you be it? Could you be the one that I asked the universe for? And so I wasn't sure if the footless pantyhose and the new idea for the undergarment was it, but I certainly was going to give it a shot.
Well, clearly it was that idea, because now if we fast forward, you've built $1 billion brand with just $5,000 in your personal savings account. At the time, you had no business experience, no fashion experience, and I'm not saying that. That's what you have said. I'm sure you're very fashionable because you're wearing those amazing white pants, right? So how did you do it, and what kept you going?
Well, okay, so how did I do it? Two things. I'll think about how I did it. So how I did it was mindset. And that also happened way before Spanx. And I would say having the right mindset was more important for me doing Spanx, obviously, than anything else. Because you're right, I had no money, I had no business experience, I had no contacts, I didn't know anyone in this space. But at the age of 16, when I was a sophomore in high school, I had two things happen to me that also, again, made it a really, really dark time in my life, like really, really bad time. And that, again, was the fertile ground for something really wonderful to happen and where hidden blessings happen. But the first thing that happened was that I was riding bikes with a very close friend, and she was run over and killed by a car in front of me. And then my dad left home and my parents separated. And at the time that my dad left home, he came in to my bedroom and handed me a cassette tape series called How to Be a No Limit Person by Wayne Dyer, who's an inspirational, motivational speaker. And that's when he said, I wish I was your age when I discovered this, Sarah, instead of the age of 40. And I sat on the floor of my bedroom. I was completely in a very tough spot. And I put the cassette tapes in and I just started crying because I thought, I have spent 16 years in school being taught what to think, but no one has ever taught me how to think. And the light bulbs went off of, oh my God, I can teach myself how to think. And that's when I became a student outside of school, because it's not taught in school, on visualization, law of attraction, manifesting what I want in my life, not caring what other people think about me, which I'm still a work in progress, you know. And at 16, that's really what anybody cared about, is what everybody thought about us. So I was really practicing all of this. And that became what is the reason Spanx exists, because how I did it without really having contacts and money and all of that is, I always say what you don't know can be your greatest asset if you let it. I had no idea, Ebony, how it was supposed to be done. And a lot of us are in that spot. We don't know how it's supposed to be done, but we don't have the courage because we don't have the confidence in our own inner voice or our own thoughts that we might have a better way and that we might have the answer. So it took two things. It took me being willing to say, I don't know how this is supposed to be done, but maybe my way is better. And having the courage to stand in a room with a bunch of men in manufacturing plants and say, well, what if we did it this way? And I think it's because of the work I did on myself for all those years of mindset. And then the other thing I would say is that what's kept me going is doing something in life that's bigger than just about you. So having a purpose greater than yourself. I'm deeply connected to the desire to help women, to elevate the feminine on the planet. And so this journey hasn't been about me. It isn't just about me. If it was just about me, my negative self-talk would have kept me sitting on the couch all those years ago, or I'd still be selling fax machines. But I guess not fax machines because they don't really exist anymore.
I would say not fax machines, it's not cassette tapes, none of those things.
Selling something else. But anyway, I think that's really important, and that gives me courage that I don't even really know that I have, because it's on behalf of women.
Sarah, there's this, let's go back to your dad for a moment, because there's a story that you tell from your childhood, and it's where your father used to ask you, how did you fail this week? And I love that question, because I used to have a woman I mentored, and she was a perfectionist, and she, wanted to do everything right. And I was like, okay, today you have to call me and tell me how you failed. Just purposely bomb something. And so how did you confront, how did you build your comfort with failure, and how did that define and inform your definition of success?
Well, first of all, that's really cool that you did that for that person that worked with you, because perfectionism really can be very debilitating. Yeah. And we all start out mostly wanting to get the approval of our parents, and we want to earn their respect. We want to earn their approval. And so my dad gave me this huge gift that I wasn't even aware of what he was giving me at the time. And that was, he encouraged my brother and me to fail. So, instead of trying to hold myself back because I was so afraid that if I did it, I wouldn't get on the team or I might not be good at it, he kind of turned it around, and I'd come home from school and he'd say, what did you fail at this week, sweetie? And if I didn't have something, he would be upset. And I could come home from something and go, Dad, I tried out for this and I was horrible. And he'd high five me and go, way to go. And then he also took it even a step further, Ebony, which when something didn't turn out the way I wanted, he would then say, well, where were the gifts in that? What happened? And I'd say, well, I didn't make it on the cheerleading team, but I met my new best friend, and that's who I'm spending all my time with because we were in line together. Or when I went to do this and, failed miserably, I learned XYZ about how I think or how I study, and I need to change that. So it just was really a really valuable lesson. So he reframed failure for me. Failure didn't become about the outcome; it became about not trying.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that
it was
he so intentional with you about that.
It was really nice. And, the two biggest fears in humans is fear of failure and fear of being embarrassed, and they're connected. And so the more that we work on ourselves to free ourselves up from caring so much about what other people think about us, the freer we'll be from both. So I will intentionally try to embarrass myself. I really don't want it to own me. If I make embarrassing myself the goal, then it just flips the whole thing on its head. But yeah, and then I had a moment one time where I realized not caring what other people think about me doesn't mean I don't care about them. And that was an unlock for me because I thought it just meant I care so much about them, but I owe it to myself to just be wholly who I am and not try to tailor my version of myself based on what they thought about me.
So Sarah, let's move forward some more.
Okay.
I want to talk about something that seems a little bit counterintuitive. So, true or false?
Okay.
You didn't spend a single dollar on advertising for 16 years. True or false, first of all?
Spanx did not advertise. We did not do any conventional advertising for 16 years.
That's crazy. Okay, so given that, what was your strategy and how do you encourage others to get creative with marketing? I'm sure there are a lot of marketing professionals who are scratching their heads on this. So tell us about this.
Yeah, I was really focused on the why, and I think people are far more emotional in the problem you're solving than the product and the why behind it. So I led with story. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I care. I made sure I could tell the story in conjunction with the product everywhere that I went. I went out and sold the product myself for the accounts that were selling it. So I stood where the product was being sold and listened to consumers firsthand all day, every day. And at the same time, I was inspiring the sales reps at Neiman Sachs, Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's as I was standing beside them to want to help me and to sell the product. So I was creating a sales force not on my payroll. So I would go and do all store rallies, get everybody very excited, inspire all of those people. I made a checklist of where can I get the most press or the most exposure for the least amount of money. And I just, I was always, on my list was Oprah Winfrey, on my list was radio DJs, QVC. I mean, I had a really specific list. And even when I got a big ad budget and had the money to spend, I wasn't inspired to spend it because I feel like I wanted to talk to her and not at her. And conventional advertising, when people were spending a lot of money on it, it didn't feel as authentic. And so back then, 20 years ago, it was pretty unusual for someone to be, using humor and trying to, be vulnerable out there. I mean, I was really the one putting all of it out there on the line and not wanting somebody to be paid to represent the brand or to, like I said, even if I had a huge budget, I'm not sure I would have deployed it because then even once I did, I didn't at Spanx.
That's great. Now, Sarah, you often talk about your secret weapon in business, and I know we have some fun content to share here. So let's roll that, and then I'll ask a question about that.
When I invented Spanx, it required out-of-the-box thinking. This case, I needed to push the envelope. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Spanx You want me to make your butt look better and make it comfortable? I'll take the case. I'll call this case Slim Cognito. I must go outside to further investigate.
Okay.
I feel like I can guess what that secret weapon is, but tell us what that secret weapon is and why it's a game changer for you.
Well, it was so funny that, okay, so the context behind that video is that I was always trying to figure out ways that I could stand out and win people over, whether it was the sales reps that were going to sell the product or my consumers that were going to ultimately buy it. And I was up against billion-dollar companies with endless ad budgets. So that particular video was when I was going to the Neiman Marcus headquarters, and they had invited, you know, very prestigious brands like Calvin Klein and Donna Karan and Sarah Blakely from Spanx that no one had ever heard of, and a lot of the accounts that were there, Gucci and Prada and all this stuff, and so I asked a million questions like, what happens at this? What normally, you know, what do the people do? And they say the people from these other brands come and they do a PowerPoint, and there's a slideshow, and they show the product, they show pictures of the product. So it just became clear to me. I was like, I'm going to do this really hilariously bizarre video and let it rip at Neiman Marcus headquarters. And so in between, you know, the Donna Karan slideshow and the people from Donna Karan and the, you know, Gucci slideshow, and so, you know, I was willing to take a risk and do that, but it made everybody laugh, and then everybody was cheering for me, and it became an endearing part of the brand. And so I was always interested in how can you do it different. Humor always led me there. So another example is the product, right? Inside of all the initial hosiery packages, inside of it was an insert that was where the product was folded over. And everybody always put marketing speak, you know, the sheerest of the sheer, elegance, upward motion of blah, 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 that nobody really listened to and just chucked in their garbage can because it was marketing talk and didn't really resonate. I thought, well, I'm just going to use that space for a place to make her laugh or smile. So we sketched comics like the bazooka gum. Like bazooka gum is not necessarily the best gum, you guys. It's like chewing cardboard, but you love it because the comics in it. So anyway, I don't know if you can see that there, but these are examples of what I put inside of the hosiery packages with my first product, which also was a little risky because I'm being sold at Neiman Marcus and they take themselves pretty seriously. But in that one, you can see that I've sketched a cartoon character going down the aisle, and it says, when you think they're all staring at your train, but they're really staring at your caboose, Spanx. And this other one that you can see right now is just an ab roller. Ab rollers were a big craze at the time. Yes. And I created Super Spanx, which had extra tummy control. And I'm like, hey, you don't need your ab roller anymore. It makes a really good headrest to watch TV, and you can just duct tape a cup holder to it. It's awesome. So, you know, and what happened was all these women were buying the product. They started hanging those in their cubicles. They were putting them on their refrigerator. And I thought, if nobody likes my product, at least if I made her laugh or smile for a moment, that feels better than trying to tell her a bunch of stuff that's not authentic and sitting in a room with a bunch of people trying to come up with marketing speak. I like to talk to people the way I would talk to them over drinks.
That's right.
And 20 years ago, that didn't happen a lot in marketing. There was a big disconnect. There was like, the way everybody's talking to each other here is so different than how we're talking to the customer. Why is that? Why do we have to act like we're better than to be the experts, you know, for people to feel like we're credible? I always felt like the companies felt like they had to present themselves as the expert or better than to be able to sell you the product. Whereas I was like, I'm one of you. I'm sitting there frustrated. I don't know what to wear under my white pants either. Let's go.
That's one thing I love about you is just your leadership style, your willingness to take risk. And, you know, on this call, there are literally thousands of women in executive positions. Hi, everyone. And you often talk about having a feminine leadership style. And so what does that mean? And why should we as women lean into that?
So, listen, I feel like business is a very male construct. We as women have only really even been allowed to play in this arena for not very long. And the feminine has been pretty squashed, and so I think that needs to change. I think that we all have feminine and masculine energy in us, and the feminine has been sort of portrayed as weak or not really invited in the business arena as much. And so, and I say feminine meaning, the energy really. And so one example is when I started Spanx, I had just launched it. I had been written up in the local paper. This girl invents a product. She's on Oprah as a favorite thing. And these guys at a cocktail party, they were talking and, called me over and they said, so we just read about you in the paper. You're Sarah. I said, yeah. And they said, congratulations, you invented something. I said, yes, I did. And one guy looked at me and he said, well, Sarah, business is war. And the other guy looked at me and said, yep, I hope you're ready to go to war. And they kind of looked at each other and he pat me on the shoulder. And I went home that night, Ebony, and I was like, I'm not going to war. Like, why does it have to be war? So I had a moment very clear where I thought, I'm going to do this very differently. And I'm going to be guided by a very different set of principles. I am obviously not interested in going to war. So the feminine leadership is, for me, a deep connection to empathy, vulnerability. I have been vulnerable from the very beginning. Intuition. I think that intuition is something that really doesn't have a strong place in corporate America. And I love intuition. I think it's a lot of our superpower. And, so I led with intuition. I gave people around me permission to lead with their intuition. They would present the data, and there's a lot of emphasis on data. And I'm really interested in the dots between the data that doesn't show up there. So we see this. Okay, now what do we really feel, and what do we really think about it? And so for me, Spanx was a little bit of an experiment about letting wholly be feminine in how I go about this and see what happens.
Love it. Feminine, vulnerable, empathetic. I also, you said authenticity as well earlier. And to me, that vulnerability, authenticity really go hand in hand. And it's something that I really do actually appreciate in your social media presence. You have a very strong social media presence, and I really appreciate how authentic you are. And I actually think we have a video teed up to help illustrate that authenticity. So let's go ahead and play that.
Okay, I just want to let you guys know I put on a cute outfit today. I was feeling really good, and I am just finishing up a Zoom interview, and I just looked down at myself. I'm not sure that, I really just hope that was not in the Zoom. And I don't think this is what the designer who created this really cute shorts jumpsuit had in mind. But clearly, I'm having technical difficulties. I mean, that is just like, what the hell is happening? That is really frustrating. Maybe I need to sit up straighter. I don't know, but that is serious tummy bulge coming out through the buttons. And I don't know what to do. What gives? I'm biking every day. I mean, this is ridiculous. Enough with the belly fat. Is this why they call it middle age? Because everything goes to the middle? Maybe that's how middle age even was named. Oh well. Thought that you guys might feel a little better after seeing the belly fat bulging between two buttons in my cute outfit. The only cute outfit I've put on in 6 months. Have a good day. Bye. I'm hoping it didn't show on my Zoom call because I'm guessing the person's not going to take the job. Oh my God, you had the whole video. Well, yes. Okay. I didn't know. So, yep, putting it all out there.
Put it out. Okay, I do have a little kit that I keep with me that has all the stuff of double-sided tape and all kinds of safety pins and everything for just that, because it happens to all of us. So I totally can relate. So let's talk about putting yourself out there on social media and just in general. What advice do you have for us, especially kind of going back to the conversation about just being perfect and showing, really all sides of us. I love that you put yourself out there so boldly and authentically.
Thank you. Well, I'm always, before I do anything, I ask myself why. Like, what's the why? Why am I doing this? And I was really one of the last people to join Instagram. My team kept saying, you should really join. And I didn't for a really long time. And then once I got clear with the why, I got clear and confident to go ahead and do it. And so for my why, I thought, I care a lot about women. I care about elevating them, inspiring them. So I'm going to create my own filters. And before I post anything, I'm going to run them by my own filters that are connected to my why. So before I do, it's like, does it make her laugh or smile? Does it inspire her? Does it teach her something new that she maybe doesn't know? Or does it, motivate her or make her feel good? So those are my filters, and I do all my own social. I don't have it on a schedule, and that's what felt right for me. So I think getting connected to why made me feel confident to do it. And that's my hope. When I first started looking at Instagram, I felt like everyone felt pressure probably to put a very highly filtered version of themselves on the platform. And I think it was a little shocking when I first started it. I was so raw. Like, even my mom was like, you held out for so long and didn't join social media. And now, like, good Lord, like, are you really putting that out there?
She's like, filter. I taught you to filter.
Yes, my mom has called me every now and then and said, honey, you might have want to filter that. But anyway, that's how I joined. And I think it's wonderful to be authentic because it gives the people around you permission to feel that way.
Completely. And we can all relate. So, okay, I love that we just got onto the mom thing because I have a mom question for you. So I know that, we all know that in addition to Spanx, you wear so many hats, and you were talking about this at the beginning of the call. You're a mom, you're this, you're that. And the hummus fingers, right? Being a mom requires a lot of humor. So we've got a lot of mothers and parents listening right now. So will you just talk to us for a moment about just how to navigate being a parent and a business founder?
Absolutely. So, I always say I'm a work in progress. It's really challenging to do both. I will start with when I became a mother, Spanx was already significantly underway. So I think Spanx was maybe 7 or 8 years old when I had my first child. I got married later in life. I got married at 37 for the first time. My husband was 40 for the first time. I had my first child at 38. But once I became a mother, the negative self-talk became so intense. So I had to realize after the first year and a half of having my first child, how bad it was. And I started really being intentional about managing that negative self-talk that made me feel guilty and bad. And, when I was at work, I was feeling like I should be with the children. And when I was with the children, I was obsessing about work. So that was a big part of it that I would recommend, is really paying attention to your negative self-talk. Probably the biggest thing that I did, Ebony, was sat down with my husband and made a Ben Franklin list. And one day the wheels were falling off the bus for me. And I wrote everything in one column that I was doing to make the household work. And then I put everything that I thought that he was doing to make the household work. And it was a really enlightening moment for us as a couple, and he took it really well, but I wasn't even aware of how much I was absorbing and taking on. I think culturally and societally, we saw what our mothers did, we saw what our mothers were expected to do, and what our grandmothers did and what they were expected to do. And now there's this dynamic that we all have another full-time job because we're working and we're career women as well. And so that doesn't really work. I mean, you got to really communicate with your partner. And so Jesse kind of cried a little bit when I showed him that list and shed a few tears. And thankfully he said, wow, and let's divide this up differently. So that was a big thing that I did. And then another thing is that I just got really good at bucketing my days, because that helped me be way more efficient instead of trying to do multiple things throughout the day. I was like, where can I bucket it at work? Okay, Thursday is just product day. That's the only thing I want to focus on if I can at work. And Wednesdays is marketing day. And it helps the brain go from bouncing so much, because when you become a mother, that's happening naturally. And the last thing I would say is it's about quality of time too, and creating memories. So if you can't spend a ton of time, in each bucket, be really mindful about what are the memories and the moments that you can really create. So I started doing Pancake Sunday, and every Sunday I make pancakes freestyle in weird shapes and for the kids. And I think, okay, I'm creating a memory. So that's important too, I think. And you gotta think and plan. You've got to prioritize. Then you got to delegate what you can, and then you got to let it go. And the let it go part's a big one for women.
Huge. That's huge. I'm definitely making that Benjamin Franklin list, by the way. I'm sure there are a lot of people like, me too. So let's talk about just being a founder. You have been the sole owner of Spanx for 21 years. So what made you decide to sell it now? How did you know it was the right time? And, was it the exit that you hoped for?
So for me, everything is intuition. My whole path has been listening to my intuition, and people have been trying to buy Spanx for 21 years. And I just would always say, I'll know when it's right for me, and I'll know when it's right for the business to go to a new chapter. And if I can speak like a mother, my baby was 21. My baby can legally drink now, Ebony. And my baby not only went to college, but is now back at home living with me. So it might be at the point where it's good for the baby to spread its wings and grow beyond just, me owning 100% of it. So that's really how I got to that place. I just was like, I'll wake up and I'll know, and it'll feel right. And then, of course, I ended up selling the majority to Blackstone, and that felt really right. And I paid attention to a lot of signs and feelings that I got while speaking to them. Obviously, there were lots of people, that I was talking to, and they were clearly authentically interested in us supporting female businesses. And there was an all-female deal team. They were interested in an all-female board of directors. And there was just a lot of synergy between what matters to me and what I built the brand on and what mattered to them. And so that was great. And yes, I mean, listen, I started this business, Ebony, and I told everyone it was going to be worth $20 million one day, and they all laughed at me. So
Now you get to laugh right back at them.
I mean, you asked me if this is the exit I thought of. I think this was the exit that it was bigger than my dream,
Totally.
I mean, in so many ways, and what it means for women and how I can continue to inspire women. And I'm still very connected to the brand. I love product. I'm working on product now. I'm very inspired in that bucket of the business. I feel like that's an expression of love for me, is through product to women.
Sarah, I want to close with something that's near and dear to my heart, which is giving back. And you have signed the Giving Pledge, which means that you've committed half your wealth to philanthropic initiatives, which is so honorable. So let's roll some images of the causes that you support. And while we do that, can you maybe talk about what made you sign up for the pledge, and what do you see as the future of philanthropy?
Okay.
Hopefully some of those photos will play.
You want me to wait? Are we showing the video?
You can just keep going. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, there we go. Okay, here we are.
Oh, all right. Well, so the two things that I see in the future of philanthropy is, one is I hope that more women are funded, and especially more females in business and business owners, because the percentage of VC funding is something like 2.3% goes to women, and over 40% of women are, business owners. So that would be great. And I do think the more women who are successful, the more that's naturally, organically going to happen, because people tend to want to support causes they really deeply understand and can feel. And so that'll be exciting. And then the pictures you just saw, if you can throw them back up, I'm sorry, was just I think that philanthropy could be more fun too. I believe that in life you don't have to act serious to be taken seriously, and philanthropy is a very serious subject. I mean, you're addressing very serious causes, but I always think if you can make something fun, go for it. And this was my effort to support maternal health, and I gave all the money to this belly art book that I created to Every Mother Counts, which was Christy Turlington's foundation. And I painted my belly when I was pregnant, crazy objects. I woke up at 3 a.m. before I delivered my first son and thought, oh my God, my body's amazing. I can't believe it can do this. Like, this is a beautiful canvas that I may never have it again. So I wrote down on a piece of paper, I wanted to turn my belly into a watermelon, a basketball, a beach ball, Mr. Potato Head. And I had that photographed, and then I gave it to my husband, and he goes, this is too good for just me. You got to make this something bigger. And so for the next 7 years, we painted pregnant and, I mean, famous and non-famous bellies, and created the Belly Art Project book.
I love that. Oh, Sarah, this has been so much fun. I have one final question for you before we turn it over to the audience. And that is, what do you want your legacy to be?
The girl who made the world a better place, one bud at a time.
Thank you for helping mine. Much appreciated. All right, well, we'll turn it back over. Thank you so much, Sarah. This is
Welcome,
fun.
Ebony. Nice to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Ebony. You did such a wonderful job. Sarah, before we hit the Q&A, I hear you have a gift for our Chief members.
Oh, yes. Well, if you want to go to Spanx.com and shop, you just type in Chief in the promo code, and we're going to give you 20% off everything on Spanx.com for the next 24 hours, which only happens one time a year with Spanx. That's Black Friday, and most things are usually sold out in the first, half the day. So happy shopping. We will do that if you put in Chief. And if you go to Sarah Blakely on Instagram and you just put hashtag Chief in the comments, I'm going to be sending some Spanx out to many of you at random. Some of my favorite products.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for that,
Yeah.
Sarah. Are you ready to meet more members?
Sure, I'd love to.
All right. First up, I want to bring up Danielle Roost to ask our first Q&A question. Hi, Danielle. Welcome. Oh, Danielle, I think you just need to unmute.
Oh, I did unmute. Can you hear me now? All right, great. Hi, Sarah. It's really nice to meet you. How are you?
Nice to meet you. I'm great. Thanks.
That's great. So I was an early adopter, circa 1999. So I am super thrilled to meet you. Yes, Spanx I was telling all my friends. So as a marketer, it's really interesting to me to hear more about, not using agencies, really being, personal with people.
Yep.
You were way ahead of your time there. And your foundation work is really inspirational. So most of the companies that I've worked for, we've always had something, going for us. So currently I'm the CMO of Wiseline. We're a B2B digital services company. And we have a free education piece there called the Academy for Tech Skills all around the world. So we had 25,000 students during the pandemic. It was quite insane. But anyway, my question is, as you see the retail industry, so you went from no internet, right, all the way through. It was in its very early stages. So you look at that and you look at us now today. We have virtual dressing rooms. We have social selling where I can click it and get it in a day. So what do you do? I mean, how do you innovate? How do you come up with new ideas in this environment?
Well, as far as reaching consumer,
Yeah.
or just because the way that I come up with ideas for products is still the same. I mean, that doesn't change, looking for white space. And I am always paying attention and asking consumers, and like to be where consumers are, because that's where I'll get a lot of my best ideas. But as far as, the marketing and how to do it, I still think that it's really important to to continue to stay focused on the why. Why are you doing it? Why are you unique? I'm constantly asking myself, how are we different? How do we differentiate ourselves? Right now, Spanx does advertise, and we do quite a bit of it on the social platforms. And so we've had great success with that, but it's been very, important to stay connected to the why. So very quickly, I'll say, what about the photo? What about that few seconds illustrates to the consumer why Spanx is her best option? And, you just have to be quick on your feet about that and nimble as far as how you're going to illustrate and communicate that really quickly. And there is a lot out there now. I mean, with so many people, like there's a positive and a negative. When I was doing it, there was no internet. I'm trying to create a global household name with no internet. Can you imagine? But now there is. And so there's so many people on it. And so how do you not get lost in the shuffle? And I still feel like being authentic and honest and connecting with your consumer with the why you're doing it instead of what it is it seems to have the best impact.
That's great. Thank you so much.
And humor.
Thanks.
Be funny.
Oh, no, well, we were cracking jokes when we were getting ready for this. So yeah, I think sarcasm is very underrated. That's just
yeah. I mean, like wherever you can find the humor, wherever there's a moment to make somebody laugh or smile, I say take it.
I love it. You might as well have fun with what you're doing. So, and you
Totally.
obviously have and built something amazing. So very great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, next up, I want to invite Monique Kelly Gelati. Hi, Monique.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm a Chief Boston founding member and a former client experience lead on the PR agency side, and I've been following you for years in terms of your customer centricity and really trying to do my best in pharma PR to embrace a lot of that and authenticity. Also, I really appreciated what you said about school and what it taught you. I actually went back to my alma mater, Boston University, recently and started adjuncting specifically because I felt that school doesn't really teach you the how to think and really the how to put your best foot forward in terms of value. So a lot of what we do in class is cover letter writing and how do you pitch somebody on LinkedIn, just completely going off script for that reason. And so along the lines of being authentic and a great storyteller and client-centric person, I was curious to know what keeps you motivated in the day-to-day professionally, and is there a coach or perhaps someone that helps you to be as great as you are in your career journey?
I mean, that's a really good question. On day-to-day, I try to keep goals. I try to make goals quarterly, and then I try to check in with myself daily. Like I'll sometimes I don't obsess it on a list, but I'll know, did I do anything today to move myself forward in those? And I also get clear about where I'm putting my energy and my attention, because a lot of times we want to do it on the things that aren't really moving the most important stuff forward. I try to exercise a little bit each day. I listen to inspirational stuff still. I read inspirational stuff on Instagram. Most of what I follow is positive mindset stuff. So getting that little boost on my phone that says some positive quote or something will realign my thinking really quick. There's so much negative stimuli that we have and we don't even realize it. It's literally probably 90% of what our brain is being fed is negative stimulation, whether it's the news, whether it's gossip, whether it's whatever, a TV show that's got kind of weird stuff on it that helps our mind wander, whatever. And so taking that really intentional time to hear something positive or read something positive, I take that very seriously. I also think that it's really important that we take the time alone, especially as women. We don't do that enough. And I value my think time so much, and I credit so much of my success to my time to think. And when I say that, ladies, I don't mean where your mind is going through your checklist to do. I'm talking about, where does your mind wander? And when is the last time that your mind wandered? Like legitimately just kind of daydreaming, because that's where the magic is. I get such my best ideas. That's where I connect deeply to intuition. That's where our knowing is. That's how our knowing communicates with us about what we need to do next and where the answer is. And it is really hard, especially once you become a mom, to do that. So I found out, I also encourage you to find out where that happens for you. And for me, I figured out that it happened in the car. So I started creating a fake commute because I lived 5 minutes from Spanx and I wasn't spending enough time in the car. So I would actually wake up an hour earlier than I needed to be at the office and drive aimlessly around Atlanta so I could think, because I knew that was something for me about the road activity of driving and just kind of listening to music in the background, that I was accessing this part of my brain that I didn't access sitting in an office all day in meetings and then at home with children asking me 1,000 questions. So I try to be pretty intentional about my alone time and my think time.
That's great. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Monique.
Yeah.
All right, last member. I want to invite Nikki Armstrong to the stage. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi.
Katrina. Hi, Sarah.
Gosh, I know you. Oh my gosh, hi.
Hello, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm good. I was like looking at you. Nikki and I did a reality show together with Richard Branson a million years ago.
We did. It's wonderful to see so many of your wonderful accomplishments and achievements, Sarah. We are all so proud of you.
Thank you. That was a crazy thing that we did. Wow.
Indeed. It's been a very long time since we ran through a Moroccan souk trying to negotiate for drapery or furniture or home decor or pitching bands to be on the V Fest. So it's great to see you. Well, I am wearing my favorite Braleluya, by the way. So just shout out to the girls that are being held up by the Braleluya. I love it. Yes.
Always. Hallelujah. We named it Braleluya, guys, because every woman we put it on to wear test it, which was usually my mom and my friend and, all the people I know, they would sing. And so they were like, hallelujah. And we just one day were like, hallelujah.
That is great. And I do sing the same exact song when I'm with my mom. So I think my husband thinks I'm a little crazy. But I know that you've answered some wonderful questions here today, and I know you're just so inspiring to so many women out there. You've gone from being the world's youngest female self-made billionaire to establishing your foundation. You've been one of Time's most influential people. You've joined the Giving Pledge. You're a mom of 4. You're amazing. You're a wife to that crazy workout man. And I don't know how he does it. I run away from running. And you're now this pancake making expert. So I have a question for you, Sarah, and it's, what does the ever inspiring Sara Blakely feel like she still has to accomplish, either with Spanx or in your personal life?
Woo! Wow. Well, thank you for that intro. I would say that I have a product that I've been working on for 5 years and it has not been successful yet. And so I am going to get this over the finish line. It will make a very big difference in women's lives. I'm super excited and not going to give up on that one, but it's far harder than I thought it was going to be. I would say that I have lists of ideas and products I still want to invent, and I want to make the world a better place. And so I've really been focusing and journaling and free thinking about what areas that I feel that I could do that. And they range dramatically. So I'm hoping that where I put my energy continues to be on making great products for Spanx and, helping women through that, and then also beyond that. So, but I think
can't wait to see what's next from you, Sarah. That is for sure. And if memory serves, I do believe you have a birthday coming up too. So happiest of birthdays to you.
Thank you very much. Every year on my birthday, I take my 10 childhood friends away on a surprise trip. And I don't tell them where they're going. I tell them if it's going to be hot or cold and if they need a passport, and that's all they know. And it is so much fun. I always say, people talk about money and success. I'm like, money is so much fun to make, it's fun to spend, and it's fun to give away. And one of the best things about money is the people that you can spoil, that you love. And these are stay-at-home moms. Some of them are working moms that never spend any money on themselves. So I get to spoil them. And I'll be taking them away in a few weeks. Stay tuned on where I'm taking them.
That's awesome. Well,
Nice
good
to
to
see
see
you,
you,
so much,
Sarah.
Nikki.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you. Sarah, that was fabulous. It sounds like there's a theme, just thinking about the viral video that, when the announcement was made, you gifted your team a trip. What did that moment feel like for you, just in the minute that we have left?
Yeah, so when I made the announcement to everybody at Spanx that we were partnering with Blackstone and they had purchased the majority of Spanx, I wanted everyone to feel really proud and excited and celebrate that moment in their own way. So I sat and racked my brain for literally weeks prior to announcing the deal on what felt right. And I'm big on memories because at the end of the day, guys, like that's really, great, juicy memories is really the most valuable and wonderful thing. So I ended up gifting everyone at the company, every employee, 2 first-class tickets to anywhere in the world and $10,000 spending cash for their trip. And there were tears and there was so much excitement. There's a lot of people who've never left the country. There were people who didn't take a honeymoon. There were people that dreamed of going to South Africa their whole life on safari. And so it was just really exciting to be able to do that. And I said, just go on that trip and take that moment for you and whatever it looks like and congratulate yourself on this success and this milestone and what we've been able to do through using kindness, intuition, empathy, vulnerability, and just making the world better and making a lot of women happy along the way. So that's what that moment was about.
What a beautiful moment. I love that. Well, I cannot believe it, but we are out of time. I want to invite Ebony back to say thank you to the both of you for leading such a wonderful conversation. Ebony, Sarah, any final words from either of you?
Well, Sarah, if I could just say, first of all, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for inspiring us with your story, your advice, your generosity, your humor. I really hope that everyone took down a lot of notes. I know I did. I always have pen and paper with me. And I'll be channeling your words of wisdom very often. So I just want to say thank you, Sarah, and thank you all for joining us. It's a pleasure.
And thank you very much. And when you go home and Ben Franklin, your husband and your boyfriend, don't mention my name.
You get a lot of followers maybe that way.
What?
You get a lot more followers that way if we mention it.
We owe it to ourselves as women. We take on so much. We do so much and we don't even realize how much we're doing. And then we get sick or the wheels fall off the bus in different ways. And so we've got to have those conversations with the people around us that are there to support us and our partners. So anyway,
Well, thank you.
yes.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Sarah Blakely. Thank you, Ebony. Thank you to our members who asked questions. Join us for the after party and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.